theory?
He slandered all Michael Jackson singles.
Was he a Prince fan? Did he get? He might have been a Prince fan. He probably was a real Prince fan. Like my mom, when she went to a Prince concert and a Michael Jackson concert and Cyndi Lauper and like a couple other ones. And Tears
I wonder
for
that
Fears
guy you're talking about is like one of those black extremist people.
Or he's a better yet.
He wasn't
like
the only one.
Photep.
Is he a Meninist?
He wasn't the only one.
Is
a Photep. There's a lot of Photeps out there. Let you know.
I don't think that's different though.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next up, man.
By the way, my mom said that Prince was better than Michael because like she was at the Michael Jackson concert when she was younger, and she's like, you can only really watch a dude moonwalk across the stage for about 10, 15 minutes, and that shit gets old. And I died laughing. But Prince is better than Michael.
No.
Anyways,
next topic.
Nick Foles returns to practice few days after his wife had a miscarriage, unfortunately. He pretty much said, the only reason why I'm here is because she wants me to be here. She's going through a tough time right now, but she wants me to, continue to do what I love to do. And if she didn't want me to be here, I wouldn't be here. To be honest, I would be at home with her. And so I just wanted to shout that out because Foles is a stand-up dude.
I'm going to give a round of applause to his wife.
What?
And women like her.
What? Who does he play for again?
He plays for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But yeah, so basically she was 15 weeks pregnant and had to induce, labor prematurely, and the baby was gone. And he pretty much just described it, when they got back from the hospital, all traumatized. The first thing they did was hug their daughter even tighter.
I'm just going to say this because I heard a snippet from this podcast, Lillian Garcia. She's like a legendary WWE ring announcer. And she was doing Michelle McCool, who was The Undertaker's wife. And she was a former WWE superstar. And she went to Florida State. Yeah, anyway. And she was like an elementary school teacher. But she talked about how like she had 3 miscarriages. And it's crazy. Like, people don't think... Like, these athletes, their families, when they say, oh, I'm not playing for personal reasons, like, it's really a personal reason. And I think people should respect that more often. And I think a lot of these whack-ass fans don't. Because their lives are so pathetic and trash that they gotta, like, they gotta sit up here and talk shit about athletes when really these athletes don't owe you anything.
I just think that's a dilemma that we're going through with, like, through all like of entertainment, whether it's sports, whether it's music, whether it's film, like for people, because they have the access to social media, like I feel like people are just that much more up in arms if things don't go their way. And there's like a lot of entitlement too. It's like, oh, this player should be out here. I'm paying for it. And it's like, what the fuck? They're human beings. Like, they're
just
not robots.
access. They just have more. These conversations have always been going on in the background. Yeah. It's just now they have a platform and now they have access to athletes,
right? And
have those conversations in the public.
But it's just to me, like what that person was saying sounds familiar to, like, for example, like the whole Game of Thrones. Controversy, like how it ended. Like, of course it could have been better, but like people were just so upset, like it should have been this way, it should have been this way. And it's like, that's the beauty of certain things that
some of them are right.
Yes, there's some things that we could agree on, but for the most part, like, it's like this is how it should end. Respect that this is somebody, they were in charge, and the whole time you guys were riding with them, and now because it didn't go your way, like, I don't know, I just feel like there's a beauty to all these things. And like, even though it's kind of going off guard, but I'm trying to relate in the sense that, people shouldn't have to feel that entitled to be like, oh, it didn't go my way. This is, fuck this. This is trash, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, you shouldn't call a dude out, for missing something out because he says personal reasons. If you don't want to say, oh, my wife had a miscarriage, that's something personal. So you just say, hey. And I noticed that fans are like, oh, they're just being a lazy bum. They need to be out here, blah, blah, blah. So it's frustrating to...
Well, I mean, it's like we talked about it before with Solomon Thomas and kind of, him losing his sister to suicide. And, we talked about it with Marquise Godwin when he had a miscarriage and
That's why I had 2 miscarriages.
Came out and bought out. Like we're hearing more about these. It's less out for personal reasons and more like, okay, this is actually what happened because there is more access and people should be more understanding. And there are some people who are more understanding, but at the same time, it's kind of like what you guys are talking about too. There's people out there that aren't shit and just think that people play for them.
Well, I hate people who say, my team, you weren't good enough to do anything other than what you're doing right now.
You say my team. I've heard you say my team.
My favorite team, but I would say us. We won that game when I was younger and didn't know better.
Okay.
But I'm saying like now.
Okay, I'm gonna troll the shit out of you next time you say that.
Okay, cool.
Just letting you know.
You'll say it before I do.
I say it all the time because they are my team. What the hell? I defend them all the time.
We are the best team. Like, no, they are. You're just a fan.
Yeah.
When fans say we, they really just want to say their fan base is better and their support for the team is better. I think if it was just a lot of people just came out and said that, you would see like a continental shift in what fans are like legit fans, what people are just like clout chasing, and what people are really losers.
Other off-field news. Muhammad Wilkerson got caught with the DWI out of New York. Free agent coming off an injury.
Broken ankle for the Packers.
He's had a slow market. They were talking about him potentially going back to the Packers. That didn't go anywhere.
They don't really need him.
I don't know if that might be the last we've seen of Wilkerson. I mean, we've seen defensive tackles under 30 just not get deals, man. We saw it with Pot Roast 910. We see it with every year there's somebody.
No, but Muhammad Wilkerson was damn near an all-pro.
He was.
5 technique.
He was.
And I think
3 years ago.
He should go back to being a 4-3 defensive tackle. A lot of these cats, I don't know why, but a lot of these cats, I don't know if they're more comfortable playing in the 3-4. Like, sometimes you gotta take less money and just be an interior pass rusher. Like Sheldon Rankins,
I think part of it
went
is
from the Jets to the Vikings, and now he's back to the Browns. Like
Sheldon Richardson.
Sheldon Richardson. My bad. What did I say?
You said Sheldon Rankins.
Oh wow, sorry. Yeah,
I think
Sheldon.
I think part of it is like, I hate to say it, but it's like it's easier to like be like, oh, I don't have stats because I'm a 5 technique, than it is like, oh, I'm a 3 technique, but I just can't finish through the quarterback. Like,
is it weird that shift happened? Because remember when cats were like, oh, you got to play a 5 technique defensive end or your career is over.
Yeah.
And then there was the boom of 5 technique defensive ends having 15 sacks in the season and crazy shit like that. Like Greg Ellis when he was with Cowboys.
I think it's also part of just having like a deeper defensive line rotation and having blitzing from all over the place being more common. You know, it's not just the Steelers running zone blitzes anymore. Yeah. Or the Patriots just running zone blitzes anymore. Everybody's doing it. So
a lot of cats don't want to play nose tackle.
Yeah.
As someone who
nobody will ever want to play nose tackle.
No, there's some cats who just had. I had no choice but to play nose tackle my senior year.
That's what I'm saying. No
on one leg.
Play
nose. But like I didn't want to play nose.
Kenny,
what's up?
You're babysitting.
Excuse you?
Yeah, he's been babysitting this whole time. All right.
I enjoy my beer. I'm not trying to down it.
Other New York news.
Right now, if I wanted to.
We don't babysit around here.
Other New York news.
Fine. Call CPS.
Le'Veon Bell. Yeah, that was a terrible joke. That was a really terrible joke. You're a terrible person.
I mean, honestly, shout out to Lee's Chinese food. And also, they sell Hawaiian barbecue.
Le'Veon Bell got robbed $520K in jewelry by 2 girls he called his girlfriends.
Thoughts?
In Hollywood.
Wait, you think you got a girlfriend in Hollywood?
And I think from what I was listening to, like
stupid dog.
Like the jewelry they stole was like really like specific. Like one of them was like a Black Panther chain and like.
So basically, he was a trick and he got played.
Yeah, but
trick or treat.
But it's stuff that they're not gonna be able to sell.
because now the block is hot and everybody knows you got it. Stupid.
But beyond that, Le'Veon's stupid for trusting anyone in Hollywood, first of all.
Yeah.
Second of all, he's out here trying to be Lou Williams now. Like, you got 2 girls now? Okay.
I can't even say what I want to say because it'll come off misogynistic, but Chris Brown was right when he said what he said in this song. That's all I'm saying.
Which is
yeah, say it.
Holy writ, these hoes ain't loyal. I mean, I go back to Too Short and E40 and Snoop, but I'm not going to go back that far because those are all facts. But I mean, you know.
Who falls under hoes? Is it only specified for one gender? Is it all genders?
Hollywood.
Anyone can be a hoe,
Okay.
but in this particular case,
They're women.
yeah. And Le'Veon's not the biggest hoe. They're all technically everybody in the situation was a hoe, but in this particular case, he's the trick.
Yeah, he's a trick. He probably got too
There's
drunk.
tricks and hoes, and you
And-
can't be a
Yeah,
trick
he
and a
probably
hoe
did
at the
get
same
too drunk.
time.
Too high in coke or whatever the fuck it was, and they played him. He fell
Like a
asleep,
sucker.
and they took him for a shit. That's what it probably
'Cause
was.
he's
and
a sucker.
And he's trying to cover up and say, "Oh, they're my girls," whatever. If he says these some random hoes, they're gonna be like, "Oh, you just a trick." But if he tells them, "Oh, these my girlfriends," then it's gonna make him look a little better.
No, it looks worse.
I just want to know, like,
It looks
it
worse
seems
now.
like NFL players are getting robbed more. So is it just we know about
I
it
think they've
more?
always been getting robbed.
That's what I'm saying. So is it just we know about it more?
Yes.
Or is it just like
Cats is game
NFL
goofy.
players are just acting
Access.
worse?
Access
A
to
lot of
media.
cats are game goofy. A lot of cats were raised by probably single mothers and had no male role models growing up.
But that's what I'm saying. So it's
And
like
a lot of
I don't
cats,
even think it has anything to do with the male role model.
you kind of need a father in the house. You
It
need,
just honestly, no. It's
you
common
need a man.
sense. Common
Okay.
sense. Common sense tells you, look,
Some of it's common sense.
I'm
Some cats are
drunk.
game goofy.
but also, like I said,
I mean, you could go into common sense being relative to what your gender is, because for a female, common sense might be emotions, and for a male, common sense might be math and
And if
others.
our ego leads us, we're screwed. And if you don't have a male who's been there and done that to coach you along the way, you're going to be out here doing game goofy shit. Straight up.
The point is, common sense is relative.
Are you telling me?
not
Are you
gonna go
telling me?
down this rabbit hole with you
Are you
guys
telling me
today.
men don't need fathers in their lives? Is that what you're insinuating?
That is registered for another
Sounds like
day.
what you're
The things you guys
insinuating.
just hit me with right now, I gotta process.
Are you triggered?
I'm triggered. Like I'm just like,
All I'm trying to say is, like, it might be common sense for you because of the shit that you've been through, both as a person and both as a female, but for him, it might not be.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
I wanna
think
hear it
has
on his
to do
next
nothing
trash
with
rap
gender.
album.
I just think again,
It does.
No,
It
because-
matters.
It matters.
No.
Because are you going to find yourself with 2 women throwing yourself at them and trying to check your pockets
Are you gonna have
next
two
time
dudes
you go to take a shit after you just fucked?
Are you going to have two dudes at the
No.
same time running game on them or them running game on you? Like, it's just
And at
how
the
it's
same time,
relationships.
like, I don't know what it feels like to walk through a grocery store and have a dude creep on me.
You don't know.
It's a
Like,
different
hold up.
experience.
But you guys don't know. But like, there's girls who have two guys. You guys. You guys just
Oh,
don't hear
no,
about
we all
that.
know that. We all
That's
know
what I'm
that.
saying. You guys
we learned
don't
that in
hear-
middle school.
You don't hear about that.
But
So-
at the same time, your average girl is not going to have $520K in change in the first place.
Yeah. No one's
But we
robbing
Even
Nicki
if
Minaj.
you had 20 million, you're not going to buy a 520K
No, you never know.
Black Panther chain.
But it's more like,
But that's what I'm saying is, like,
It's-
your common sense is different than his common sense. So for you to be like, oh, it's common sense, it's like,
that's
well, yeah,
subjective.
your common sense would tell you to not even buy a stupid 520K
No,
Black
or not
Panther
even be
chain.
around people like
Or
that.
not even be in Hollywood like
I'm talking
that.
about being around people, buying a chain, fine. That's what everybody does. But I feel like if for anybody, like if I had like a guy or whatever following me back, and I was a rich girl, I wouldn't be like, okay, let me be comfortable around this guy. Fuck it. Like I
That's
just feel like
you.
I don't even think. I think it's with money. I feel like if you have that much money, you should have that much sense. Like,
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
You
nah.
just
All
said
these
the most
athletes wouldn't be
gullible
going
shit
broke. All
I've
these
ever
athletes
heard.
would not be going
Bless
broke.
your heart. But if everybody who was
I
giving
mean,
a shit
true,
ton of money at
okay,
once,
I heard what I said, but I'm just saying,
yeah,
like,
there's no wisdom lacking.
I
for
don't
them.
know. I just feel like if you're going into. I was talking about this with my friend